The 14th and 15th centuries were a significantly religiously focused age. The people of that time were extremely focused and fixated on their religion, and it was a significant factor of everyday life. Although the only legal religion at the time in Europe was Roman Catholic. Other important factors in this period were new innovations and creations furthering science, graphic exploration, trade, and mass spread documents. These factors definitely affected the change in religious focus, the severity of the Reformation, and the ability to spread new beliefs quickly. The Protestant Reformation was a religious shift and conflict of religious belief that resulted in the division and succession of new religions from the Catholic Church. Eventually, many religious sects would be created from this movement. Martin Luther was the main cause of the spark that created the Reformation. Luther was born on November 10th, 1483 in Eisenbahn, Saxony, in modern southeast Germany. He grew up and went to college thinking that he would become a lawyer. Later in his life, however, Luther got caught in a bad thunderstorm, changing his perspective on life, as he promised God to become a priest. This event changed the course of his life as he began his path to priesthood. After beginning his path to priesthood, he soon went to Rome when working on the process to priesthood, and was discouraged watching the corruption of Rome, especially under the rule of Pope Leo X, as he learned to become a priest in this religiously corrupted city. After seeing and despising this corruption and collaboration of Rome, and having disagreements to the practices and beliefs of the Catholic Church, which he had formulated during his time becoming a priest in Rome, he decided that he could not stand by this corruption. This disgust and difference in belief from the Church caused Luther to write the 95 Theses and post it outside the Wittenberg Castle Church. Luther's famous 95 Theses stated all that was wrong with the Catholic Church and created a basis for the new beliefs and rules of Lutheranism. At first, Luther was just trying to challenge the status quo of the Catholic Church and fix these indulgences of the papacy, but this eventually sprouted the creation of Lutheranism almost on accident. Some of the major factors that drove the creation of the 95 Theses that Luther did not agree with in the Catholic Church was 1. The Pope selling indulgences, and 2. That he disagreed in the known belief that the way to get to heaven was in human actions. Whereas in Luther's view, the level of faith for God was the deciding factor to make it to heaven after death. Additionally, other disagreements and corruption in the Catholic Church's doctrine caused him to challenge the status quo and post the Theses. The 95 Theses created an uproar and shift in the following of the Catholic religion, as people began to follow the new Lutheranism sect belief, although it was illegal. A large reason the Theses caused such an uproar is with the creation of the printing press at the time. With the printing press came fast and accessible, widespread documents throughout most of Europe. This allowed the 95 Theses to be reprinted and sent all over Europe, spreading it faster than ever. The Church attempted to stop Luther's defiance from the Church in October 1518. The Pope ordered Luther to recant these theses, but Luther responded, asking the papal authority to find any incorrect accusations in Scripture of his 95 Theses. They could not. Although this ended in his excommunication from the Church for an act of heresy, he still proved them wrong. Luther continued his defiance from the Catholic Church and promotion of the Lutheran belief. Although Emperor Charles V ruled it illegal to defy Catholicism, although he could not effectively stamp out the defiance of the Catholic Church because he had other crises he had to deal with, allowing the beliefs to keep growing effectively. By 1529, Charles was able to follow up on the Lutheran protest issue after he had dealt with his other crises. Although the Lutheran protest issue had grown to a new level of followers, he recalled states to regain their belief in Catholicism, although it caused a protest from many Germanic states, thus coining the name Protestant. After this reaction of protests from states and the Schmalden War, Charles decided to hold a diet in Augsburg to compromise over the conflict of the succession of the Lutheran or Protestant sect. This was later called the Peace of Augsburg. The Diet met from February to September 1555 and made up of no papal authority, just the Council of the Electors, the Council of the Princes, city representatives, and bishops. In September 1555, the Diet compromised on the response to the succession of the Protestant sect. The compromise included a few key conclusions, such as: the first was that Lutheran princes, cities, and knights were required equal security to the Catholic counterparts. The second was that each state must choose either Lutheran or Catholic beliefs to follow. The third was all lands of the Church taken by Lutheran estates prior to the Peace of Passau of 1552 were kept. The fourth was that every ecclesiastic prince, archbishop, or abbot that changed religious belief and switched religion during this time must give up title, land, benefits, and privileges as they do not hold the same title. The Peace of Augsburg was the first major cause of the destruction of the medieval unity in Christianity. The Peace of Augsburg healed the majority of the major conflict in the Reformation, as tensions between the Catholic Church began to become a serious matter. Although this was not a permanent fix for the religious belief issues at the time, it certainly was an effective compromise and prevented a war over religion at this time, early in the Reformation. The compromise caused many people to move states to follow their religion, caused many religiously important people to lose status, and caused a major shift towards eventual religious homogeneity, although it did not simply end the Reformation. This is mostly because the compromise forgot to mention other smaller sects that had already arisen since the start of the Reformation, and the original Lutheran sect. These smaller divisions from the Catholic Church and eventually Lutheranism would cause the Reformation to continue further. Although it could be refuted that the Peace of Augsburg's failure to reference the new smaller sects like Calvinism most likely caused the 30 Years' War and did not heal conflict, I remain that the Peace of Augsburg stopped an immediate oncoming war following the original schism of the Church, and small unforeseen flaws in the compromise were the cause of its short-term effectiveness. This compromise also created, in a sense, a territorialist government, and the stress on monarchy faded as it was hard to keep together such different states within Germany, thus lowering Germany's role in world affairs to focus on local issues. The Peace of Augsburg seemed to solve the early conflict due to the succession of the Protestant believers from the Catholic Church. This compromise created a new territorial system, allowed the start of movement towards religious homogeneity within each German principality, stopped further conflict over this reformation of the Church, and seemed generally fair to each side of the deal.